amenities. Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of people moving, from the more affluent areas coming into the township space to just find some decent places to live in, within what they can afford and all those type of things. So that's where we then come in to provide those type of living areas and those type of apartments and affordable rental accommodation to just cater to everybody from all walks of life. So that's what the company does, and that's the service that we bring on my own as well. I do have a YouTube channel where I just teach a lot of people about operating a real estate business within the township. I focus strictly on township. So today, what you're going to be hearing from me is really strictly about township. So what I speak about is not something that I've researched or something that I've heard people saying. I'm going to be sharing what I do and what I know, the processes of, entering into the township real estate market, the process that you need to go through to make sure that your building or your rental units, habitable, people can actually live in them, and all that you would like to know about, the township real estate space. Think for now I can pause on that, and then, because I like us having a conversations, so that we can discuss whatever you'd like to know and how I can best be of assistance in answering some of the questions.
Okay, no, that's great stuff. Great work you're doing there. Like they say, there's the township economy is a huge market, and not a lot of people are actually going at it. So it's good to see young people like yourself go at it very hard. You said you have 15 units, correct? Mr. Lindo, unless it's the network issues on my side.
No, I think it might be him. I must say I can hear you, but Mr. Lindo seems to have frozen.
Okay, no problem. Seeing that we're having a bit of issues on his side, so I think it would be best if we move over to you, Sandra. I know that you're an investment officer at GPF. I haven't used you guys to finance any of my projects keyword is yet, but then I do know of investors who have, and they sing all good praises of you guys. So why don't you share with us what you guys do, and also the requirements that you guys look at in order for someone to get financing from GPF?
All right, I will do. Thanks. What I did want to say to you is to Lindo is that I agree with you 100%. So is that you actually, when you go into a market or you wanting to get involved in property, do something or go somewhere that you know and you're very familiar with the location and the likes, because that really does you know who's going to be there, your tenants, how much you're going to charge, what they're looking for, and that is really is the key thing to property is when you go in, know your location, know what it can offer, know as I say, a little bit about who your tenants are going to be and the likes. And I think I absolutely, I mean, exactly what you said there is that you go into what you know, and that makes life a lot easier, because property is not an easy game anyway, because there are lots of there are lots of stakeholders and players and all the rest of it. There's the banks, and there are the professionals, and there's the contractors and all the rest of those kind of good things. So if you know at least are familiar with where you're at, it does help. So yeah, that's great. I've got a presentation here, but I have no idea how to put it up here. All right, please let me know if you can see it here. Is it actually, is it loaded on the screen? Wait, hold on
Not
a
yet.
second. There
I
we
think
go.
what you should. Oh, there it's going. Yeah.
Is it up?
Yes,
Is
it
it
is.
okay?
I can see.
Okay, beautiful. All right. Well, thank you. And again, like Lindo says, really appreciate being here. I mean, I haven't been a developer, but I've been in the finance game of affordable housing for donkey's years. And it's a really and an amazing space to be in, because you really do feel like you're adding value. Like you said, you're building homes for people where people are actually need them, and providing stability to environments. The inner city, you doing regeneration to areas which often are run down and the likes, and providing a better space for communities when you get involved in the likes. And GPF has been involved in the affordable housing space for ages now. So we were first. So I'm going to talk about a little bit what we do as GPF, and how obviously we can assist new entrants into the affordable housing space, and how we can all work together to make sure that we're providing decent homes to people. So please, I'm not sure. So Ben, if you see people have got their hands up, I prefer to have a discussion, as opposed to let me ramble on and then only afterwards people put up their hand. So please, just talk to me and let me know, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see. I'm quite familiar with Teams, but not so familiar with Zoom. So if you see someone that would like to ask a question, please just stop me. So GPF, Gauteng Partnership Fund. That's who we are. We've been involved in property shall I put this on this? Sorry, you talking. There we go. Is that better? Is that clearer? Everyone can see better. Okay. Teaching old dogs new tricks, huh? So GPF was founded as a trust in 2002. So we've been around for a long time. So 2002, so almost 20 years, 21 years. We've been involved in affordable housing space. So we were initially set up by our executive authority, which is the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements. So essentially the work that we do is solely in the Gauteng, because our funding comes from Gauteng Housing Department. So, and essentially what we're also trying to do is we need to focus on the priorities that are aligned to the province as well as to national and the likes. So it's the National Development Plan, and in the medium term is the medium term framework, which is the provincial plan. We also obviously need to look at and be in line with the various pillars of the Gauteng program. And these pillars, basically the ones that we are involved in specifically, are for transformation, modernization, and reindustrialization of various human settlements. And that is kind of how we fit into the scheme of things when it comes to delivering of housing. So just to say, our mandate, our GDHS and also the trust deed that we were set up with basically dictates what we're allowed to do and how we're allowed to do it. So our biggest mandate is the facilitation of affordable housing. And we do that through a couple of mechanisms. We do that through investing in properties ourselves using public sector funding. And not only that, but we also leverage a private sector funding using that funding as well. And I'll explain how we do this a little bit further on. And essentially, the way that we facilitate private sector involvement is that we do it through risk sharing. So what we try and do is say, okay, we'll put a little bit of money, but you guys, they need to put a little bit of money. So we basically make sure that the development is topped up and is able to work with the various different monies coming from various different sources. Basically, also the other main program that we are involved with government, that is the implementation of various projects or programs that the human settlements are involved in. One of them is the mega projects. I'm sure everyone is familiar with mega projects. Mega projects, Cosmo City, huge developments that are a mixture of tenure, of housing typology, of basically commercial, residential opportunities to work, taxi ranks, all the rest of it. So we are involved in actually assisting government with the implementation of those throughout Gauteng. And then we were also involved in various other things, such as the upgrading of informal settlements, where we are assisting with providing various infrastructure, and also the Rapid Land Release Program. Now, I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with the Rapid Land Release Program. So what this is essentially, Gauteng has said they can't really afford to continue to build top structures, but what they are trying to do is get developers to service pieces of land, so that all the services are in, and then they're going to allocate those service lands to beneficiaries, so the beneficiaries can build their own houses. So what we are involved in is trying to find the serviced land or partially serviced land that Gauteng can actually buy and then pass it through to the beneficiaries. So that's what we also, so essentially, and then what we also kind of involved in is in turnkey projects where the department will say to us, here's a piece of land, and we are going to give you development rights, and we want you to actually develop that piece of land for us. So there are a few things that we're involved in. So it's from an investment point of view of funding affordable housing developments for private sectors, for people that are coming to us with projects, and then it's the implementation of projects on behalf of the Gauteng province. Just with regards to our programs, because I think this is specifically relates to our entrepreneurs and our new entrants into our market here, is that we have various programs. So, which is, as I said, we as GPF use funding to leverage we use government funding to leverage private sector funding in order to develop affordable housing. So we've got a couple of programs. We've got the rental housing program. Generally, this is for our SMMEs, so it's small to medium kind of developers who've done this before, and not really new entrants, but obviously they're not your Baldwin, not that Baldwin does affordable housing because they do middle income. Let's talk about Central Developments. They do what's the other one that I'm thinking of? It'll come to me. Trustgrow is another one that does the affordable housing space. Then we're also very involved in student accommodation funding. So we're happy to look at any project that comes to us for student accommodation. As you know as well, there's a huge demand for student accommodation at the moment. And we are happy to look at projects, again, private sector funding, government funding, which we use to leverage private sector funding. And it needs to be a special purpose vehicle, which is a PTY for any projects with a minimum of beds of 50 beds. And we do kind of look for developers with a little bit of experience, because it's quite a complex mechanism, the student accommodation. It requires a lot more input in the sense of the fact that, first of all, your location is absolutely important. Second of all, it needs to have all the bits and pieces like the Wi-Fi and the rest. You also need to have accreditation from the university. It also then requires a mechanism that which the NSFAS is allowed to pay through, which is called Fundi. So and also the other thing with the student accommodation, you don't have the students aren't there for 12 months, they're there for 10 months. So you literally only can do your cash flows for a 10-month period. So it also, there's all of those kind of things which make it a little bit more complex. Having said that, again, Lindo, you also 100% correct. Although that your portfolio is quite small, it's exactly how you start out. You know, you don't want to do, and also for us as well, what we've learned as well, you know, like a new entrance, it's much better to get the skills and build up those skills levels than to go in huge. And it just isn't fair on anyone. It's not fair on the funder, and it's not fair on the person who's borrowed the funds to expect them to know, exactly how projects should be run and all the rest of it. So, and then you're putting that person in a potential debt situation, which they shouldn't be in to start with if they had started on a smaller scale and then learned the ropes going forward. So we've also, so generally with our empowerment fund, so this is specifically geared for new entrants into the market. And we basically look at people that are 100% BE, and this is for previously HDI persons in the market that want to get involved in property themselves. And essentially, what happens is the applicant will come to us as a private developer and request funding from us, and that is specially geared for that. So why is it specially geared? There'll be I'll give you a little bit more, but to say that our funding is the actual financing is geared specifically for that, is to encourage entrepreneurs into this market. Plus, also, we've got mechanisms which assists with regards to our technical team. So our technical team is fully involved. So when you present us with figures or a bill of quantities, our technical team will go through that very carefully with you and say, listen, you know, you've overcosted or you've undercosted or you've forgotten this out or whatever the case may be. We then obviously look at various other things. Should there be an approval down the line, I'll explain the process. I'll talk to you now about the process, but then our technical team gets involved as well. And then we'll vet all the contractors and then we'll vet the professionals. And then once that is done and the project team is in place, our technical team will attend all the project meetings with the developer, with the contractor, with the professionals, in order to ensure that that actually this a project gets delivered within time and within budget. So we do. There's a lot more hands-on on this in this entrepreneurial program. Like I said, it's specifically focused for promoting HDR participants. We've been doing this for a while, and exactly that. We provide the technical support for the new entrants into the market. So how the structure works. So let's just say that the developer comes to us. They have a piece of property and they would like to put develop a project. Let's just say it's a 10 million rands worth of project. So how this would work is that we would, as GPF, you would come to us. The project would say you would need to put in some equity, 5%. Equity, so call that 500,000 rands worth of equity. That equity, though, can be in the form of the land, and or it can be monies that you spent on the project previously. Like, let's just say you bought a piece of land and it was zoned agricultural, and you've now taken it through the process to make sure that it is now zoned correctly in order to build a 2-story walk-up or whatever it is. The money that you've spent getting that zoning done can be used as your equity. Obviously, we would need to have proof of those funds that have been spent on that project itself. So then the GPF would then come in and say, okay, fine, we are happy to put in 40%. So we will, of that 10 million, we will give you 4 million. So now you've put in 500,000. We will then put in the 4 million. And then we've got partnerships with senior funders, and we go to our senior funders and say, will you put in the difference? Will you put in the 5.5 million rand? And that's how we work. So the GPF doesn't put in the whole amount. We put in a portion, and then we go to our senior funders and say, we are happy to take this risk. And when we say what risk we do, we are taking a second mortgage. So if the project doesn't work out, the GPF takes the biggest risk. Okay, the senior funder, they'll get paid out first. GPF gets paid out second. All right. So that's what we are asking for. Plus, what we do is with this program is that our funding is very, very inexpensive. Nothing's inexpensive at the moment, as Lindo said so beautifully, is our frigging interest rate keep rising. So at one stage rather it was inexpensive, but with the prime, what did I see it was today? 11.75. Oh, it's terrible. Anyway, we don't base our funding on prime, we base our funding on JIBAR, and now JIBAR is sitting currently, the 3-month JIBAR is currently sitting at 8.5%, and we will then charge you JIBAR plus a half. Okay, so call it, it's 9% at the moment. Obviously, it fluctuates like our interest rates do, but it is sitting. It's quite a lot cheaper. It's 2.5%. 2.75% cheaper than your prime rate at the moment. So what that does, it really does help your cash flows. So, and your cash flows are essential because your cash flows, your rental, the rental that you're getting from your tenants will then be utilized to pay the loan amount back. So we'll give you a loan, 40% loan, which is 4 million rands worth of loan. There will be 500,000 which you will need to put in, and then the other senior funder you will also obviously need to pay back. But then that money is paid back from your actual tenants that are paying you rent. So that's kind of how it all works. There was something else that, oh yes, what's also really, really important is with this empowerment fund, we do our loan terms is up to 20 years, which also really, really helps with the cash flow that you have, because again, the longer the term, the less you are actually having to pay in the way of well, it just makes it cheaper from a cash flow perspective. So we try and ensure that we are first of all that the money that we provide our applicants is reasonably priced. Second of all, our term of our loan is very good, and the equity contribution we try and keep it very, very, very low. We give the 40%, which is quite a big substantial amount of funding. And the other thing that is really, really important in this program is that there is an opportunity to get an interest-free loan of up to 2 million, which is only payable after the first 5 years. So it's interest-free, which also really helps with the cash flows. So it's interest-free, and you only have to start paying it back after a 5-year period. So it really does assist with that cash flow going forward. This is the pricing of our EPF loan. Like I said, you are having it's JIBAR plus a half. We then do step it up as the years go by, because the rate is such a good concessionary, and generally the projects can actually afford to step up as the years go by. This is just with regards to our various other funding models. When we come to the rental, equity contribution that is required is normally, I would suggest, is up to 10% nowadays. And the reason being is because the cash flows just don't cover the loan amount. We will go up to 30%. The senior funder is between 55 and 60%. Our student funding, the required equity is 10%. The GPF will only put in 30%, and then the senior funding is the 60%. And this was our EPF program that we spoke of now. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Are we all good? Okay. Okay, I've spoken about this as well. Like I said, this program is for developers that are 100% HDI. We give concessional rates. Like I said, there's that interest-free loan, which really makes a huge difference when it comes to cash flows, and then our hands-on approach with this program. Just to date, our participants, we've funded 45 entrepreneurs so far. 26 of them have been male, 19 female, and I can't see how many youths because it's behind my, but a good couple of youths. And basically it is, oh, here we go, 14. Basically this program is really is about trying to encourage people into the market and transform this housing market, which desperately needs to be transformed. And to grow, you know, also once you start with one, we've also got a good a number of participants that have come back for second loans as well. We should actually show that as well. How many of our participants are second time round EPF people, because we have done a good number of second loans to EPF participants and clients. Just with regards to what's required, so the whole process basically is that the developer will come to GPF. They are private developers, and they've got an idea for a project, or they have a project, not even an idea. It can't really be an idea because you have to have certain information in place. And the reason why you have to have certain information in place is if you don't have it, the consequences of not having it can make a huge difference with regards to the costing of the project and therefore the feasibility of the project going forward. So we request that there is a comprehensive business plan. Someone doesn't have to own the land, but someone has to be in the process of purchasing or looking at purchasing the land. We also say to the person, if someone is in the process of purchasing the land, whatever you do, don't pay deposits. Please don't pay deposits. And the other thing is please request that you have a turnaround time of 120 days. There is no ways anyone's going to get financing in 30 days. It's just not possible nowadays. There's a long process that happens. So 30 days, you're not going to be able to turn around financing within 30 days. Especially because this is not a home loan. This is actually a project finance that you're looking at. And people need to ensure that that this project is actually viable and feasible and bankable. So comprehensive business plan basically details what you're wanting to do, the number of units you're wanting to do, the configuration of the units. When I talk about configuration of the units, I talk about, are there 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, the size of the bedrooms, the size of the units, and then also obviously the rental that you're wanting to charge for that project. For the various configurations. And then obviously a little bit about the lab, where it is. Then one thing that's really important is with that part of that comprehensive business plan is to do a market research. Go and talk to the agents in that area. Have a chat to them. That's why I said know your area. You need to know Are there 1 bedrooms that are needed in that area? Are there 2 bedrooms that are needed in the area? We know for sure, the inner city, 1 bedroom units often are much more in demand than say 3 bedroom units. Your 3 bedroom units are probably, or your 2 bedroom units do better in say areas that are more suburbish than inner city. So you need to know what the demand actually is, and then you also need to know what the rentals are in that particular area. Like I know also, I mean, when you talk about Lindo as well, the township areas, your rental income, unfortunately, you can't charge 6,500 rand, 7,500 rand for a 2 bedroom unit. Because generally that's not the demand, or should I say the units aren't commanding that kind of rental income. Whereas maybe if you're in Randburg, you could command that, if you know what I mean. So look, we don't go up that high, but I'm just saying you actually need to know what you can ask, or otherwise you're going to price yourself out of a project, and no one's going to be wanting to take up your rentals, and then you're going to be stuck with a project and no tenants. So you need to do your homework properly with that. Then your geotech and structural engineering report. Now this is really key. Your geotech, we ask for that geotech. I know it's one of those things that's a pain, but if you do not know what's under the ground, you do not know what to put on top of the ground. So and it can be substantial, make a huge difference with regards to your exactly your structural, should I say that your reinforcements that you are having to put in, first of all for your foundations, but also how much rock that you have to move. I know that I've had one experience in Bertram's where it was on the hill. And the guys, I promise you, they had so much rock that they had to move, and so many retaining walls that they had to put in, and it just the cost of the project escalated substantially, and then it almost became unfeasible. They actually had to change from a rental to a student accommodation project, because actually the rentals didn't cover the cost of the building. So that is why we say, please, you have to have those kind of things in place. The structural engineering report is actually for a brownfields. So when I say brownfields, this is like a conversion from an inner city to a business building, a retail building to a residential building. The correct zoning has to be in place. And again, why do we say that? Because the zoning often can take a hell of a long time. Well, it does not often. It does take a very long time at the municipality, so it can take up to 18 months. So we not allowed to approve projects, because then again we could have utilized that money somewhere else, and there it's sitting in an approved project that's taking 18 months in order to be able to get approval. So we don't. The zoning is absolutely imperative. Costs, bill of quantities. You need to know how much this is going to cost you, because you need to know what rentals are going to be required in order to cover those costs of that development. We do need to have the company, the actual development needs to be in a PTY. We don't do we don't fund individuals. We only fund PTYs. Building plans. We don't need the building plans up front, but we will need them before we disperse funds. So that's important. Just to say that they don't need to be upfront, but submissions do need to happen prior to dispersing, and approval of those building plans we do need those before we can disperse funds, and obviously proof of bulk. Now, bulk, I know also it doesn't seem like and there's an engineer report that basically says that there is capacity, there's electricity. You want to do 25 units, that there is capacity for an additional 25 units in the area, as well as water and sewer for the area. One thing also, the other thing is when I send you the list of the requirements, I see my internet is unstable. Am I still around? Can people still hear me? We all good?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear.
Sandra.
All right.
Quick question, if you don't taking it.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Yes.
Well, it seems like we lost Sandra there for a minute or two.
All
But
right,
then-
we'll probably get him back in a minute.
Yes, so there she is.
If you may allow Ben a question to Lindo, while we're waiting for Sandra to come.
Sorry. Yes.
Yes, Sandra. The question is in the chat. There's two questions in the chat. If you can hear me,
I think I'm here. Am I here?
Yes, you are here.
I'm here. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, there's two questions in the chat. If Ben, if you want to take those, and then I'll just listen up. I'm just watching the chat while you guys are going up. And in the Q&A, Ben.
Yeah. Okay, question number one is, what do you need to qualify for the EEPF funding? Did you hear that, Sandra?
Okay, so you need to have a project.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, so essentially you need a project. You need a project and you need to have all of these bits and pieces in place. So there are requirements, and obviously we need to have the information. So essentially your project, so that we can actually do an assessment on the project and then say, okay, this looks like a great project. I think, like I said, you obviously
Okay, seems like we lost her again. Then, okay, when she gets back, I'll ask her the second question. So, okay, she's loading now. I think there was a question for you, Lindo.
Yes, the question for Lindo was that, let me just quickly check here. With regard to his project, in terms of the journey to end up with the 5 projects that he's able to complete, that means the 5 properties that he owns, how has he navigated the funding journey? How did he, from conceptualization, how was he able to get the funding in terms of packaging? Who the funders would have been? Is it GPF or what type of funding structure that he has used for those projects? Thank you, Ben.
All right. No, thanks very much for that question. So I wanted Sandra to be. She's very valuable information, and which is something that people really need to hear and engage with the information that she's sharing. It's very important. It's a very important conversation. From our side, like I've mentioned earlier, we are still playing in a very small scale. And our approach in this industry has been intentional and has been clear from the beginning to say we want to get skin in the game. That has been our focus since we started, to say we are going to get our skin in the game. We are going to allow ourselves to start small, to learn the skin, to learn the processes of how it takes, what it takes to be in the space, in the real estate space. And then we are going to just use our own funds, which most of our properties, that's what we've been doing. The only funding that we get is by taking up bonds from the banks. Basically, we took up bonds on our properties, and that's the only funding that we've had so far. The funding of the projects, the rental units that we build, we basically built them from our own pockets. We haven't really started knocking on funders' doors, the GPF and all other project funders that exist out there. And the reason for that has been, like I say, very intentional for us. We are not from the real estate background. We are not from the built environment background. We are just normal people on the streets, normal business people who are just running businesses, and we stumble across real estate and we say, this is an investment that one can actually look into and begin to invest into, and which is one of the advice that I probably should share with the people in the webinar, to say you definitely do not need to be from the background of the real estate space to actually invest in the real estate space. You just need to, have the drive, have the dream to do it, have the be teachable, be willing to learn the process, be willing to listen to what are the requirements that are required for you to be in the space, and you just need to have the dream to do it, which is how we've approached it from After 12 side. So we haven't had the opportunity to go knocking on funders' doors. We said we want to start small, allow ourselves the journey to learn how these processes go. And then as soon as we have the skin in the game, like if we as After 12 can now go and knock on Sandra's door, trust me, Sandra is going to open the door, because we have the skin in the game. We've done this project. We have banking transactions to show that we've got a number of tenants that with money flowing into our business. It becomes easier like that when you've already taken the journey on your own to say, let me try this real estate thing. Let me go through it. Let me get two properties here and there, and then get the monthly income in terms of rentals. And then as soon as I've learned this and that, and then I'm then can go to Sandra and GPF and knock on that door to say, I've already done 1, 2, and 3. How can you help me? This is another opportunity that I have. This is another project that I have. So to answer your question in a very short answer, as After 12 Properties, we are still in the early stages of our journey. And we've started the journey by saying we are going to fund our own projects for now. And all 15 rental units that we have now is self-funded. The reason is, as I've explained, for us to have the skin in the game so that when we knock on Sandra's door, Sandra is able to take us serious, and the process doesn't become as tedious and really tough.
I think it's a great what do you call it, process that you have embarked on there, Lindo, because it makes so much sense. And as you said, you don't actually have to have a property background. What you have to have is a passion for it and wanting to learn. And then also you do need to be involved. You can't sit then back and say, okay, you know what, it's a full-on process, and you have to actually get your hands dirty, and you've got to be involved. And if right from the go, from looking for the property yourself to picking your people that are going to assist you with developing, to getting involved the whole way through, you need to be involved. I know, sorry, I disappeared, and then Lindo, I heard some of the stuff that you said, but for us as well, like you said, you don't have to be a property entrepreneur, but what you do have to have is an idea and you have to have various bits and pieces in place to develop a project. So we will only consider projects that are more than 15 units. So that is something so it is a fairly big project. It's not one, but as you said, I think just to say that there are people out there that do also look at 111. There is another company called TUF, Trust for Urban Housing. They will also, they have a specifically a township program that they look at. We will develop in the township. We don't, if someone brings us a project of 15 units within the township, happily we'll look at it and consider that project. But we need to be quite specific when it comes to, like I say, 15 units. It's a big project, so we need to have bits and pieces in place in order to make sure that that is bankable. So yeah, but anyone can get involved if they so choose. Thanks. Just my last slide. Sorry, I just want to say, Ben, sorry, my last slide was just my details, my contact details. So I was basically finished. Yeah. So I don't know if you how I can pass them on to you, or whether I pass them on to you and then people they can get them from you, or shall I show my contact details now?
You can show them now. You can show them now for everyone to see.
All right. Okay. I'll do that.
And then while you're still busy there, we also have another question saying,
Sure.
How is GPF different from TUF?
Okay, let me just let me find my details here so I can share my screen with you. There we go. Okay. So there are two of us that you can either get hold of. Sorry, there's Palesa or me. We're both very happy to take any questions and the likes. Also, if you don't win on my phone number, because we're often in meetings, please also WhatsApp me. Happy to take WhatsApps as well, and happy to answer any questions going forward as well. If you've got an idea or you think that you wanted to talk about something, just WhatsApp me or email me. Like I said, sometimes, unfortunately, we do spend a lot of time in meetings being government. So what is the difference between TUF and ourselves? So TUF is a private entity. So they will do senior funding. We do work quite closely with TUF. So what we do is they can be the senior funder and we can be the junior funder. So we do work with them. Actually, we work with them quite a lot, in fact. But you can go to TUF without us, and they'll also look at bridging finance. So they'll do a bridging loan if needed. But they don't have the concessionary funding. The reason they don't have the concessionary funding is because they borrow from the market. Their funds come from the market. So when I say that they will need to go to a reserve, well, a standard bank or a Old Mutual or a whatever it is, and borrow funds from them. We don't. First of all, we can't actually borrow funds because our actual nature of the way we've been set up, we can't actually borrow funds. So our funding comes directly from GDHS, which is province, and the funding that then we can utilize is concessionary funding. So it means that you just get it at a better price. So, but TUF, you can go to TUF and you can ask them and they'll do the whole loan for you. Whereas we won't do the whole loan. We will always do the way that I've said to you, a portion with a portion of theirs, if that makes sense. All right, so that's the difference between TUF and ourselves. And I think the other thing is TAF is quite specific in where they will fund. So TAF will always fund in inner cities, and as I said, they've just started the township program. So they'll whereas we'll consider anywhere in Gauteng, as long as it's in Gauteng. So that's what, and then of course, as long as it's located well. I mean, I've been to 1 or 2 projects where I'm like, oh no, this is, it's just not going to work. So yeah, so that's also, we'll go and have a look-see to understand exactly where it is first. Yeah. All right.
There is,
Ben, are there any more?
I do actually have a question, but to qualify that question, I want us to speak about ownership, or rather control. The question that I will ask probably at the end of the statement that I will make is, what is your criteria in terms of ownership and title deed for the people that you fund? Do you need them to own the property before you can fund them, or do you need them to be in control of the property before you can fund it? That would be something around, the lines of saying, my mother owns the property, or my parents own the property, and they have a title deed. Can I approach, on their behalf, can I approach GPF to look into helping me develop that property? Yeah, that would be my question. But I also want to also mention that fortunately, within the real estate space, I believe that ownership is not so much important, but control is very important. So for those that want to invest probably in the township real estate market, I believe that you do not need to stress yourself much about owning the property or having a title deed before you can invest in real estate in the property space. I mean, you can decide that your parents, for instance, have a land that is available for you to, get property, to build the rental units within the township. And then you can begin the process of doing that in that land, in your parents' land, and still be able to build those units in a very, very professional way, in a very, very good way, qualifying for tenants to actually live in there. And then you are able to build a cash flow, get a monthly rental from tenants, even when you do not own the property yourself. So for those that are wanting to get into the township or any basically real estate investing, and you think you need to go get the bond yourself, you need to buy the house yourself, you need to own the thing, it's not so much about that. So it's that information that tends people away from the from the real estate investing. And I just want to state that people must not be really afraid to find out, to do research, and to enter into the real estate market as small as you can get in. Sandra make mentions that they will fund something from 15 units, which that makes proper business sense on their side. But you can't wait for 15 years, for instance, just because you can't. You don't have the deal that can allow you to get you can build your 1-2 bedrooms in your mother's house and start building onto that cash flow, start building into getting yourself involved in the space, so that when the right time comes, you are ready, you are knowledgeable, you know what you are doing. And you're able to then approach the right people to assist you in getting ahead. So yes, Sandra, on ownership and control, what do you look at?
Okay. Yeah. So I think you are right about that you need to have control, but don't forget that if you have the title deeds, you are fundamentally the true owner of that property. So because we have had an experience where, like you say, mom and dad are taking their son to court at the moment because they've developed. Yeah, exactly. So you've got to be quite. So I agree with you. My thing is, then you need to make sure that you've secured the property correctly. Like you said, have the proper control in place. If you have a power of attorney, which allows you to develop that property, and your parents have signed that power of attorney over to you, which then allows you to make those decisions, then yes, I would say that that's okay. Like if you have I know development rights, sometimes like government owns land, and then they will then allow a passover, sign a formal development rights to that person that will allow that person to own and develop that land. Not own, sorry, develop that land, and then rent it out. And then you have a lease agreement over it. Or so you could have a lease agreement over that, or the units, which then you on lease to someone else. So I agree with you. I think you don't necessarily have to have that, but you do have to secure it somehow, because you don't want to put up your units and then for whoever it is say, oh, that's very nice, thank you. Since I own the title deeds, I now own your, which they can, which they can. So I think the biggest thing is make sure that you've got the right legal documentation in place, like I say, a power of attorney or a development right agreement or a lease agreement that allows you, that details what you're allowed to do on that property, for how long, and the likes, and that you can then and then you can actually do what you like on that property. But definitely ensure that those documents are signed correctly, dated correctly, initialed, all the rest of it, so that you are not building something that is then can be legally taken away from you. So yeah. I hear you. Just from a GPF perspective, look, leases, like you said, like I said, you can have a lease or over a portion of land, like a 99-year lease or whatever the case may be. Now you see that would allow you to do whatever you want over the land. So something like that definitely you can put in place. Like I say, power of attorney. So we would look at something like that. Yes, we would. To date, I'm just trying to think whether we've done anything. We've definitely done development rights. So we have finance on development rights. But power of attorney, not so much, and leasing. No, we've done leasing actually. So as long as as I said, as long as there's something that provides you with that control, that allows the security, because also don't forget, we have to take security over that property, which is in the form of a mortgage bond. And if there's no title, you can't take mortgage, but you can take a notarial lease, a notarial bond over a lease. So those are the kind of things that we would look at. Because we have to have security. Being government funds, we're not allowed to lend money without having it properly secured. So that is just to say that going forward. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sandra. So there's a couple of questions, but before we continue, I just want to let everyone know that we'll be taking questions until 6:25, and then at 5:25, will be Madzie from ACA will be giving a closing speech, so just as a heads up to everyone. So the next question here we have is from Tepo Mashile, and he says, hi, a question for Sandra, please. So basically, does GPF assist and walk you through the whole process until you are compliant with your requirements?
So what we will do is that we'll assist. I mean, like, obviously we'll say to you, if you give us send us an application, we'll go back and we'll say to you, listen, you've sent us the bill of quantities, and like I said, your costing is either way too high for affordable housing, or a 2-bedroom unit, and you're wanting to put in, say, I don't know, it's going to cost you, R1 million to build a 2-bedroom unit. We're going to turn around and go, this is not affordable housing. You, obviously your rentals, or you're building it for that amount in that area, you're not going to get the rentals to cover that cost. So please go back and get your QS to relook at those costings, or we're going to turn around to you and say, listen, we will try and give you as much support as you need. Like, we're not going to go and tell you who you should hire as a geotech. We can't, because should anything, we can give you maybe a list of names. We can maybe suggest, if you give us a project, we can make suggestions as to, look, here, like Kempton Park. Like, there are a lot of people are trying to build and develop in Kempton Park. We know for a fact at this point in time, Kempton Park, there are a lot of units that are vacant. So I would suggest to you now that if you're going to be looking in Kempton Park, rather go and look somewhere else, because Kempton Park is literally saturated with units at the moment. And so you're not going to get your rentals that you're looking for. So that's the kind of thing that I can assist with. I'm not going to do your costings for you. I'm not going to do your building plans for you. I can look at a building plan and say, listen, your rooms are maybe too small. Maybe need to increase them size wise, or that kind of thing. But that's as much as I can get involved. From a financing point of view, we'll always go back to you and say, listen, we don't just turn around and say no. You know what I mean? You send your application through and you go, oh no, this is, you haven't done this properly, send it back. We'll go back to you and say, listen, your town planning says it's Res 2. If you're wanting to put up 24 units, you're actually going to have to rezone it to Res 4. So, which means that you'll need to go through the whole rezoning process. Is this what you are prepared to do? Otherwise, you'll need to look for a new project. So that's the kind of feedback that we can provide. So yeah, we do try to give as much input, but we're not there to do the project as per se for anyone. But we can provide, like I said, assistance where we know that we can provide assistance. I think I've been a bit vague there. I hope that does help.
So essentially what you say is that you, let's say you decline it based on whatever the reasons are, you'll give some constructive criticism to
Absolutely.
No,
yes.
this is a bit off, that's a bit on, just take note of this, go back to your QS if you...
Yes, definitely. We would never just say no. We would say, you need to relook at this for this and this reason. This is what you need to focus on. Have a look at this, have a look at that. So we would definitely give proper feedback for anyone who's provided us with an application.
So for everyone who's listening, just take note that if any financier declines you, of course you'll be sad and not be happy that you've been declined, but then there's a lot to learn. And with every failure or every L, as the youth calls it, there's a lesson to be learned. So just take the lesson of it, and then you'll know how not to apply for finance and how to apply for finance and actually secure it in future. Okay, next question.
Sorry,
yes.
Can I just say, sorry, Ben, sorry. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a decline. It's a rework. Go back. Look, sometimes it'll be a decline. Listen, this is not going to work. or it'll be, actually, you know what, you need to refocus, you need to work on this. Or if it's not going to work, then you need to think of another project. So yeah, if you know what I mean. So it's not it's generally we decline. We'll tell you, look, it just is not bankable at this point in time. You need to look at this, and this, and this. If you're not able to do that, then you need to think about something else, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. So
okay.
Another question here by Anonymous says, does GPF have a stake in the profits of the development, or is the funding no strings attached?
So yeah, we don't have any we don't get involved at all. So that would be your shareholders, that would whoever are involved with your PTY and are your shareholders, they are the ones that are the ones that'll take the profits and all the rest of it. The only thing that we want is we want our money back. We want our money to be repaid. And most of all, our reward is putting up affordable housing units. That's what we are there for, is that's for us is the most important thing, and that we are building homes for in that affordable housing market. And then we also obviously try hard to ensure that we are looking at empowering women, that we are empowering new entrants into the market, and we do try and use local contractors and things like that. So it's not, ours is not about profits. Ours is about ensuring sustainability and providing homes. So that is what our main concern is. So we don't get any profits from it. What we do is once you've paid us those funds back, we then reinvest it into another project. So that's our key, is to ensure that we get paid back so that we can actually help someone else, you know. And you
great.
in the market. Yeah.
Great. Anonymous, hope that answers your question. And then the next one we have here is from Nklamulo, and Nklamulo is saying, can I approach GPF for an approval in principle before applying for rental property finance? So no, we don't do approvals in principle. We like to see that there's a project on the ground before we do. And what we do is we give an expression of interest. So once we've seen all that information and we know that the project is generally bankable, we will provide you with an expression of interest and an indicative I'm battling here, term sheet that basically details what our terms of the actual funding is. But we don't really do approval in principle. Come to us with a project, and then we'll look at it and we'll say, is this a project that it's worthwhile pursuing, and now is it worthwhile for you pursuing? But we don't really, and we would be the financiers anyway. So what could happen is, if you get an expression of interest, you could take that expression of interest, say, to a TUF, and TUF would then assist you on that. But generally that project does have to have all the bits and pieces in place. Like I say, your idea as to your business plan, your geotech, your zoning, all of that needs to be in place before we actually provide an expression of interest. All right. All right. Okay. So another one from Anonymous. So Anonymous says, just to clarify, does GPF only fund new developments? If someone has a desire to acquire an existing building with an aim of revamping and leasing it, are they eligible for funding?
Okay, yes. So that's a good question, actually. So obviously, you know that there's the brownfields, which is the conversions that we do. And then there's obviously the greenfields, which is the new developments. So we don't refinance as per se. So if someone has got a building and it doesn't need any work done to it, and they come to us, and we won't refinance that building. But if it's a building that needs a lot of work done to it, like it's an old building and it's got units and it's got tenants, but it is falling down and it really does need a proper work over, we will then consider that building. But we don't really refinance. You will need to do work, because our mandate essentially is the creation of new units. But also at the same time, we do realize that there are some buildings out there that they really do need a proper makeover. So we will consider that. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So yes, you do. Well, you don't only finance new developments, but you do finance existing buildings, but those that need work, not necessarily just to finance and refinance for the sake of financing, but to finance because your aim is to provide new, nice, quality, low-income housing for the Gauteng province.
100% so. Yeah.
All right, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, seems like those are the only questions that we had. I don't know if anyone wants to ask something. And also on the side, okay, while we're waiting for others to ask questions, I also have a question. So say, for instance, like what Lindo explained, you see that he's started a whole portfolio on his own, with his own source of financing. So does this mean that you as GPF, you won't finance new entrepreneurs without any experience, or do you look for people like Lindo who've built some experience through their own resources, and then now when they're willing to upscale and grow and do bigger developments, do you then only finance them once they grow?
No, we'll finance. We are happy to finance new entrants into the market. We as long as, so what we would look at then is that's why the project is so important. So for us, we need to make sure that the project is feasible. You know, like often the banks look at the individual behind the project. We don't. We look at the project and we say, is the project feasible? Does the project work? Have they put the project in a space that is commanding that kind of rent? Have they put the project into a space? Have they looked at whether they have the configuration of the project is correct for that location? Has the developer, the potential developer, gone and sourced a team that he thinks is actually going to be able to put this project together, deliver this project, in time and budget? Have they done their research? Obviously, we vet it all. We go, okay, is this fine? Are the professionals, do they have actual experience in affordable housing? Because sometimes I know, like, we've had developers that have come and they've got a contractor, but he's only built roads. It's like, it's not going to work. You need to find someone who's, or even worse, actually, a developer that builds, mansions. I mean, they don't know anything about building a house, an affordable house, and the cost savings that need to go into something like that. The electricity, the piping, or whatever the case may be. There are lots of little tricks that an affordable housing developer actually, also as a contractor or developer, actually can do in order to reduce costs, to make it more affordable for everyone concerned. The actual person who's developing it, as well as for the tenants as well. So it's really important that whoever is involved in the project has a previous experience of being involved in an affordable housing development. So we don't actually look at like I say, the person behind it. We do obviously consider that they need to be involved. They can't exactly. We've also had some developers where they put their money in and then they disappear. And that's not also that doesn't help anyone at the end of the day. This is about creating a new property magnets out there who are upskilled and ensuring that they've learned the ropes and the likes. So it's really important that all the bits and pieces actually work, that come together. It's not about the developer behind the actual project. Obviously we do look, but like I said, you don't have to have had any property experience. You just got to have that drive and determination in order to actually wanting to be involved in the property and development.
All right, great. So seeing that we're running out of time, I'll only take one last question. So Anonymous asked, what's the right contact, or how do we reach out for refurbishment funding? I've been reaching out to GPF with no response.
Look, that's strange. Try me, send me your details. I do know that we have just recently so we've just gone online, where you put your application online, and what has been happening is that we have not been getting any feedback from that online process that we've started. I believe that there were some glitches. So all I can recommend for people to do at this point in time is to send the application to myself and or Palesa and put it online as well. So whatever you do both the mechanisms. So we can then, as Palesa and myself, we can follow up to say, okay, and then let us know that you've put it online. Please, if you can do that. Because I do know that there have been some glitches with our online system. So I'm sorry about that. Apparently it was supposed to be fixed, but I'll follow up also with that. But going forward, just for the next 6 months until it's all sorted out with our online system, when you've put it onto the system, just send Palesa and or myself, or send it to me and CC Palesa, or send it to Palesa and CC me, just so that we all of us are aware of that application that's coming through. All right.
All right, noted. So that brings us to the end. But before we go, Eka would like to leave us with a closing statement. So Eka, can you guys come on?
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you so much, Sandra, as well as you, Lindo. It seems like, Sandra, you wanted, eh? The time was not sufficient enough for people to be able to express their feelings, to ask their questions, because I can see from our chat box that we still have a number of questions. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I'm having one person, I've asked the person to park his question because he said it's long and he wanted to speak. Maybe let me just give that person that opportunity, because I think he was among the first people who wanted to ask. Ndwanano, can you just try to make it a shorter so that we can just wrap? Others, lucky enough, Sandra shared her contact details, so you are able to ask whatever you want to ask. She gave you her cell number, there's an email address, so I think it was the best opportunity for you to meet Sandra, because now you'll be able to contact her directly, not going via reception, wherever. So you will be speaking to Sandra. But I know, just make it quick so that you can wrap. And I don't know whether he can speak. Where is Ndwanano? Okay, there he is.
Apologies about that. Okay, so let me just go right into it. So my name is Ntwana Norkoto. Basically, I have a background in tech. And then one of the things that we're basically looking into is actually like build like a platform that will actually enable people, just normal people, to basically invest in properties. So my question is it possible to basically come up with an entity like that? Let's say that, okay, there's a property that we want to fund, and then we source funding from the public, and then come to you guys and actually look for the rest in terms of like funding a certain project. How will that work?
Okay, so you are wanting to put a fund together, or
Yeah.
are you wanting to put a company together?
So we actually want to put a fund together. So what we've basically noticed is that normal people don't have the funds to put up in order to actually invest in property. And then one of the ideas that is basically growing in our community is the idea of property stokvels. So with my background in tech, we've basically decided to actually build a platform that will actually enable people to come to the platform, put their money up, and basically take that fund, approach other people who actually have been in the property space and try to invest in that. So it's basically just an idea at the moment. So my question is that how would that work? Will it be possible for us to go and pull funding together and then come to you guys for the rest of the money?
Yeah, so no, definitely, actually. So here's an interesting one. It's basically the same as what you're talking about. Is in fact, we are doing a project which is a government project, though. Sorry, let me just explain. It's a community that exactly that they pull their funds together and they've bought the piece of land. And now they've come to us and requested that we then, because it's a community that's actually wanting to get BNG housing, so they're wanting to get subsidized housing built on that piece of property. So we are now assisting them, going to GDHS. To try and see how we can actually build for them on that particular property which they've bought. So that community pulled their funds, bought the property, and now have come to us with that regard. But you're 100% correct. I mean, you could as you could build a fund. But it could also go through, what you could do is you could do a PTY where everyone becomes a shareholder, and then you say buy a piece of property. You come to us and say, listen, we've put in our equity, we've all put in our equity. We've bought this piece of property. Can you please assist us with putting up units for ourselves and or to rent it out in order to get an income. So there's definitely are opportunities. Obviously, we would need to have I know like co-ops are very difficult to finance because there's so many bits and pieces. So again, for us, what would be really important is to have that entity that comes to us, a fairly secured entity. So it would need to be, like I say, a PTY, or it'd need to be a trust, or it'd need to be a something or other that's a tangible thing, as opposed to a co-op, if you know what I mean, or a fund that's then, but 100%. So it's definitely doable, without a doubt. And as I said, we're in the process of doing it on a different scale. But if you are going to come to us and want to do that, and like I say, a lot of people put their money together, PTY, and you buy a piece of land and you're wanting to fund it, 100%. So yeah, happy to consider something like that.
Thank you very much. And
was that okay?
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sandra. We really appreciate the opportunity to share these ideas with our youth. I think they've learned a lot, and I know they still have much to ask. They're going to contact you directly. Please open your arms for them. They still need to be, as much as we think that they're burdened, but I think they are more advanced than the way we are. So it's just a matter of opening your arms, and then when they come in, they're definitely sure they will come with the projects which are making sense. And we are looking forward in a bright future for you guys. I'm Matsie, so the person who's running around at ACA. And thank you so much for attending our first youth webinar. We had a nice event on Saturday. Unfortunately, we didn't have sufficient space. So many people wanted to attend the event. However, I promise you, next year is going to be bigger than this year. So save the date for next year so that you can reserve your space early. We are still having 2 more webinars, which are going to happen tomorrow and Wednesday. And we are still having webinars with the big guys, We're having 2 more webinars for youth, and we're having webinars with the big guys. It's going to be a nice thing for you to attend those webinars and find out what is that they're doing, where they are, so that you can follow the lead. We are also having the courses which are going to run. Watch the space. You are amongst the people who are in our database now. So if you still want to skill yourself, it will assist you to attend those trainings, those workshops which we are advertising. Looking forward to be having you and inviting your friends tomorrow and Wednesday. These are very, I would say, fruitful webinars. You don't come out with nothing. Definitely show what you've gained today from Lindo. As a young man who's starting down there, he makes it simple. You start with your mother's bedroom and you're going up. So I think taking those ideas, we are going somewhere. Thank you so much, guys. This is the end of our first day webinar. Looking forward to see you tomorrow. All the best. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.